worked out in the end.
a little bit here because a little bit about triple whammy, because that's, how did you cope with the anxiety, I guess, that maybe surfaced while addressing, because these issues you talked about, like, not having the right visa to stay in the place for employment, money concerns, and also the potentially having someone reflect to you that this choice that you're making in your career, you may not be the right fit for it. Like, how do you deal with that? Because I feel like the audience here, there may be people going through something similar, and
it's a good point.
How you coped with that.
I think, like I said before, I had so much on the line that it was such a powerful driver to keep going that I just had to keep going. If I didn't, I would have to fly home with my tails between my legs and try and get back into the law or whatever. And I think that would always, I think we'll talk about this a bit later in the advice section, but I think that helped, is that I knew what the worst case scenario was. The worst case scenario was I went home. I literally got a one-way ticket home, and I picked up a job as best as I could and tried to get back on my feet. So that was always in the back of my mind. But I kind of, I spoke to a lot of my peers. I spoke to my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, and to talk to her through it. And she was very optimistic, and she was very supportive of me during this. So I think, having people around you who can help you is certainly a bonus. I knew that I could do it. So I when they told me that, this may be not for you, I kind of had an inkling that they might have been wrong. And I was like, no, I think I can still do this. I just need to find the right atmosphere and the right group of people. And I kind of leveraged that hard. And I also used my surroundings as a big driver, because, obviously I was staying in that tiny place. I kept thinking to myself, it's all right. It's only up from here. Like, you can keep going. And I knew that there was jobs out there. I knew that I had graduated, at the top of my class. So I knew that I could do it. I just needed to find the right people around me. But honestly, it was actually pretty hard. There's no getting around that. Yeah. It really tests you, and it really tests whether this change is for you or not. I think you can push through to that. I think, that would also break you in some circumstances, but, and honestly, there was a lot of luck involved, but, Skyscanner, there was a lot of luck involved. But you make your own luck in some circumstances, in some senses of it. By putting yourself in that position, you open yourself up to the opportunity of being lucky. Yeah. Whereas if I had stayed back in my current job, I would not have had that opportunity. I wouldn't have been able to take it. So there's some lessons there, I guess. Does that help?
Yeah, so taking really some risk, but answer. I mean, it sounds like the support network that you had, and sort of your, as you say, you were in a situation where you said it's only up from here. It can't go down. It can't get worse than where, at least physically where you were living, right, in Hong Kong.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not playing down the fact that there are many, many people in the world who are in much worse situations than me. But, from my own perspective, I had dropped down significantly from where I was. Yeah. And I also feared the loss of pride in going home, which was a bit of a drive as well. Like, I didn't want to go home with my tail between my legs and confess to everyone that I'd failed. I hated that feeling, and I have to confess that was a driver. It wasn't the main one, but it certainly was in the back of my mind.
Yeah. So I guess the last question here, maybe is to do with any further naysayers that you maybe experienced. So you talked about the founders of the startup giving you some feedback that was tough. Were there any other naysayers, and how did you actually handle them?
No disrespect to them at all, but my biggest naysayers were actually my parents. And I wouldn't say naysayers, they just weren't convinced by what I was doing. And you can completely understand why. They had helped me go through university. They had financed a lot of that. They had pushed me into this career. They had put me through particular schools in order to get me here. And here I was telling them, hey, I'm going to join tech, an industry they had no idea about and had never experienced really, and was only really in its infancy. And so they were very skeptical of the plan, but I was able to convince them that it was worth a shot. and I literally showed them numbers and figures, and showed them careers, and explained to them what a software engineer is, and what it did, and how that impacted their own lives, and literally ran through numbers, and that seemed to help. The naysayers at the particular startup, I struggled with that, to be honest. I felt like they were my superiors. They had been in the industry, they were working in the industry, they had started a company, maybe they did know something, and that really hit me pretty hard. Maybe I wasn't made out for that, but I slowly, through my support network, I started to realize that I can probably do this, and I can still keep going, and I've still got enough left in the tank to try and join somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the you of the now, and I know we have a section talking about like advice, but the you of the now, knowing what you now know, what advice or what would you have told the you of then, as the person that was in Hong Kong going through all of this whammy sort of setback?
Yeah, I would have just said, look, just keep going, give him a pat on the back and say, look, it's hard, but it's worth it in the end. And you back yourself, be confident in what you've done here. You wouldn't have got that far literally in Hong Kong if you hadn't been very convinced and very driven to do what you want to do. So use that to continue going, and be open to criticism, but don't take at face value everyone's opinion of what you can and can't do. That's a lesson you learn really too late, but in life. But that's something that I think we all need to be reminded of.